Good morning. All right, let's get started. Looking like a slower morning. We'll see if anything else pops up, but not as many runners this morning. It is a crazy week, though. A lot of earnings. So let's see here. Let's check these pre-market runners really quick. EPWK is too cheap. Not interested in this. Getty Images has earnings. Looks like, well, earnings says 11:10, so it's not earnings. Why is this running? We have Getty Images and Perplexity strike multi-year image partnership. All right, so announced global multi-year licensing agreement covering display of images from Getty Images across Perplexity's AI platform. Search and discovery tools. Okay, so they're not just stealing images, I guess. I thought that was the thing. You're supposed to just steal everything and just feed it through AI and then claim it as your own. All right. Good news for Getty. So we got 360 trading at 360. This thing is down off the top. This is down a lot. I don't know if they actually make money though. Let me see if they make any money. I don't think they do. Getty Images. All right. Check the financials really quick just to get an idea. Okay, so they've become profitable over the past couple of years. Wait, no, is that a couple of quarters? Yeah, no. A couple of years. That's right. So here we have the income statement. So net income. This is in billions. So $39 billion. I think it's in billions. I always get confused because there's another one I look at that's in millions. And it doesn't say. But regardless, so the past couple of years are turning green. We're starting to make money. Let's see how much cash we have on hand. Let's see. I'm not the best at financial statements. We're getting better. Free cash flow. Decent amount of free cash flow. So the company does seem to be turning around a bit. As far as I can tell, obviously there's no dilution on this. So Getty Images, is this even worth an investment? I don't know. It seems like it's probably as cheap as it's gonna get. So there is that. Partnership with AI company, kind of a big deal. I don't know. It kind of has GameStop-ish vibes. Look at that move in 2022. Looks like this was a SPAC, and they acquired it. It popped on the SPAC acquisition, and then it came straight down after that. All right. Probably not touching that today. HKD, this one just came up. What do we have here? Revenue. This one was a known sketchy stock. This one had some crazy moves in the past. MSAI is the best looking multi-day runner right now. We have a multi-day breakout on this thing. Gapping through the breakout level, I don't like that very much, but if we can hold a dip in the morning here, potentially we'll have a long setup on our hands. CTM. Not super interested in this one. And the trade I'm in right now. Looking like a fader so far. Hopefully this continues back to zero. That's all we got. That is it for today. There is some interesting stuff going on though. And this Getty Images, stock reminds me of some other ones that have been involved with naked short selling. And what's really interesting is now the White House seems to be getting involved with the naked short selling situation, because we've seen crazy things like, obviously GameStop is the biggest one, where we had this ridiculous move back here in 2021, starting in 2020. And of course it ramped up, I don't know, 7,000%. And the roaring kitty, Keith Gill, made hundreds of millions of dollars on this and did it again back here in 2024. So it seems like the naked short selling is getting some attention now from the White House, because they're tweeting about GameStop, which is fascinating to me. You got Trump here as the Master Chief, and the White House has power to the players. Kind of an ominous, weird, bizarre post from the White House, because there's no context to this. Why would GameStop be posting, or why would the White House be posting about GameStop? Just doesn't make sense. Randomly. And they are replying to this GameStop post right here, which is just another random thing. GameStop declares the console wars are over because Halo's now coming to PlayStation in 2026. So, okay, that's fine. But why does the White House have to post about GameStop? It's just weird. And then you got Homeland Security too. Finishing this fight here. Destroy the flood. Joinice.gov. So, Homeland Security also posting about GameStop. Just strange, right? I don't know. And then now we have this other statement from Trump during a speech. And potentially Trump is talking about exposing this naked short selling and maybe cracking down on it, which I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't really know if it's good or bad. Let's just see what Trump says really quick here. Let me actually turn the volume on real quick.
You know, in the old days, when you announced good news, the stock market went up. you announce good news, the stock market would go up. Now when you announce good news, the stock market goes down because people say, oh, that's terrible. You're doing well, that's terrible. Interest rates will go up. So they think because of that, interest rates will go up because that it's inverse of what it should be. We're going to go back to the way it used to be. When we announce good news, the stock markets are going to go up. You know.
Okay, so maybe some speculation, but just some bizarre things happening with this Halo situation. Obviously, GameStop is the most notable, obvious example of naked short selling, which is just printing shares out of thin air and selling them on the market. And there's a lot of other stocks involved with this as well. Now, the thing is, this kind of leads to some of the best setups out there. So we have stocks like a GameStop and a lot of other ones that move probably because of naked short selling. There's probably other things going on too. We know with GameStop, we have this situation where hedge funds have to be hedged short into something. And this was just one of the most obvious things to short. They put this basket of stocks together, brick and mortar retailers that hedge funds can just throw their shorts into. If they're a primarily long biased hedge fund, they still have to have short positions. So they're kind of just blindly shorting these stocks. So that's another thing that's happening here. But GameStop's not the only one. We've got a bunch of them. Things like Beyond, which just popped recently. Pretty incredible moves here on Beyond. Let me go back over here. There we go. There's the daily chart on Beyond. Obviously, the thing was slammed all the way down here, and it's just been getting crushed. They're not making any money. Nobody wants fake meat. And it pulled below $1, and then it had this crazy move up to $7.50 really quickly. So the speculation is that we've got maybe some naked short selling impacting the stock here, because they will have to cover those positions at some point. The speculation with GameStop is they've been short for many years and they haven't covered yet, but who knows? But some of the best stocks and opportunities that we have to trade probably are involved somehow with naked short selling, which is what causes these crazy moves, because we're dealing with leverage on leverage on leverage, and it's just crazy stuff happening. Also, Quantum. Let me look at RGTI. Another recent example here, probably a lot of naked short selling going on, because this company doesn't make any money. It's kind of a hole in the wall, nothing company, but it's linked to Quantum, so that's just a hot sector right now. And we've had a crazy squeeze, which is still happening, playing out. So just speculating here. Is this linked to naked short selling? Maybe. It's very possible. And with Trump cracking down, maybe on naked short selling, we'll see lots of these moves if this does happen. So unfortunately, we had a similar situation with the OTC market back in 2020, where that was some of the best opportunities for small accounts, where you see these stocks that would just run hundreds of percent every day, giving nice predictable moves, and then they shut down the OTCs. A lot of pump and dumps going on. So they started arresting the pump and dumpers, and then those people from OTC went into small cap. So let's just look at this really quick. We've got some stocks like DJT, which was DWAC back in the day. Probably another one. I don't know if this one's naked, but look at this crazy move here off of the SPAC acquisition. So I know Steven Ducks made, I think he made $6 million on this one. And so then the way this naked short selling would work, after it's up like this, it just gets short. They just short it all the way back down. Short it back down to nothing. But then eventually something happens. So it stops going lower and then it pops again right over here. So this was a squeeze, I would imagine. Obviously, we got the Trump winning the presidency, which is a factor in this as well. But it just needs a little catalyst to really send it off. And that's probably what happened with DJT, which was DWAC before the name changed. So we just have a bunch of examples like this of stocks that have moved pretty aggressively because of just speculating, probably naked short selling happening. After these years go by, the naked short sellers want the stocks to go out of business. They want the companies to go out of business. And then they make all that money that they've been shorting for all these years. They don't have to cover that position. They don't have to get squeezed. They just make free money. So that is the speculation. I just thought it was really interesting that Trump is potentially cracking down on the naked short selling. And why are they mentioning GameStop? It's just weird. Maybe they're just recruiting people for ICE at Homeland Security. Who knows? There's a lot going on right now. But let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, so we have, again, some of these opportunities are the best ones to be trading. Jack Kellogg here pulling in $3 million on BYND just recently. Here's Steven Ducks on DWAC, $6 million. This is now DJT, but $6 million on that one. Pretty impressive move there. And so this just keeps happening. Now those opportunities don't come along very often. So, but when they do, they're really, really nice. So we'll see what happens with this. Obviously, stocks like Tesla, we think they have major problems with naked shorts. So we'll see what happens going forward. But that is pretty much it. I do think that maybe if this happens, if they crack down on the naked short selling, I think small caps are probably less affected by this because there's just much smaller money in small caps. So, we might see more volume come into small caps if that does happen. But we're staying tuned. So hopefully we get some more trades on. It looks like that's going to be about it for today. We got the one, but possibly something else could pop up. MSAI still on watch for this multi-day breakout setup. A lot of weakness today. NIVF Nice little pop. It's already back down. Below the previous day's close. Pretty incredible. All right, let me take a look at some of these swings. I'm watching K-View right now. No setup yet, but interesting potential on it if this trend breaks. It's been holding under this trend line for quite a while now. So if it does break, it looks like potentially we could have a play on our hands for a possible move back towards all-time high. I think a lot of this is going to depend on the overall market. What's going to happen with Bitcoin? What's going to happen with the market? We had Meta earnings yesterday, so down huge on earnings. Which we've seen before, and back in 2022, we did have a pretty big gap down, 20% down on, I think that was on earnings as well, and that led to this bear market for a year. And then we had this insane move higher after that. So we'll see if it does that. I don't know. Hopefully not. But Meta tends to do that. It loves to gap. And that's a crazy gap right there. And then back over here, did it again. Back in 2018. What is this one? This is like a 15% gap, which again led to this downtrend. So back over here, gap up, led to an uptrend. So keeping a close watch on that. That's potentially starting a downtrend, but never really know. I am hoping that, well, Etsy got destroyed on earnings. So they had a beat and then got wrecked. So luckily we had sold our Etsy already in the 70s. I still like the daily picture, the bigger daily picture on this. This thing is set up for a pretty big move up. It does seem to be about time. But man, that earnings looks nasty. Also, Ball is going to be a big watch for me coming up towards the end of the year here. I love the blueprint on this one. Pretty clean. Looks like some accumulation pattern. Hopefully we take out the lows here and then we break trend and then rip. That's the hope on that one. All right. Time to focus up, guys. 1 minute to the bell. We're not messing around. I'm checking on Lulu here. Yeah, Lulu kind of dipping again. We have the trade deal coming up on the 1st. We're going to know what's going to happen with that. Nice trend break on it. Maybe breaking out, pulling back to the trend line. Hopefully it'll hold there and start pushing into November. CMBM. Nice move yesterday. Possible follow-up today on it. MSAI, the multi-day runner. Nice little gap up. I'd like to see a morning dip hold reclaim. Got a big short planned on RGTI once it sets up. Not quite there yet. Might try the fake out strat on Tesla. So we've broken pre-market high. And I want to see it close below the 9 here on the 5-minute. No trade yet. Looks like MSAI pushing a bit. All right, well, it's kind of slow. I think most people are taking off for Halloween. I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here. I'll keep an eye on MSAI, but that's pretty much it. We're gonna let this other one play out. One trade on at the moment, so I'll put an update in the Discord later if something interesting happens. But other than that, have a good weekend, everyone. Good luck. We'll be back on Monday